How are you finding, so you said things are kind of picking up not only with, obviously there's people that are looking to prime moves with
Yeah.
families and things like that. With the slight hike we saw the other week with mortgage, the interest rate, and the talks about, possibly more coming.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you find that that's helping put a little bit of flame under some individuals? Do you find some people are kind of like stopping again and kind of like watching and observing? Like, what are you encountering where you currently are?
Yeah. So what I'm seeing is that obviously you're going to get people that are just going to say the market's crashing, which, we know what that is.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that you're going to start getting people that is really considering and starting to plan a few things. More so sellers. I feel like sellers are a little bit nervous. I feel like with most of my sellers that I have right now, they want to buy first, even though like they shouldn't be buying first. And I've explained that, but they're a little bit nervous of seeing the products. And like, I feel like a lot of people are also nervous too of listing and having a long closing and worried about not finding things, even though like, even though it's just a little bit, anxiety. I tell people that there's two ways. At the end of the day, if you sell first and you buy first, they have their own set of anxieties.
Yeah.
And it's really at the end of the day, whatever you feel that is best, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not what you feel is best, but what you feel that this is the hard part. Because if you tell clients, hey, you should sell first, which you're giving your opinion, and they don't want to listen, just like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then, I just explained to them that, listen, this is the way we could be doing it. You need to take one step at a time. However, if we are not, choosing to do that route, you have to understand that you're going to cause yourself a little bit more anxiety and stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I let people know first what it is. And I think that's really important for you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, people need to know what is going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and people right now, out of anything, really, really respect honesty and like really trying to take care of them, right? But it's interesting. Once the first rate went up, we saw the lull for the first week, but now I'm seeing a little like more high sales price, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I can give you guys an example of my marketplace. 1 second here. And this is good training to showcase, like, if any agents are new, this is where this is a great learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Perfect. Sorry, I'm just going to share screen right now. Okay, so I have this in order. This is just in Newcastle. Oops, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is my phone just going off? Okay, so this is from, I always like to do like from beginning to the end of the month, right?
Yeah.
As you can see at the beginning, and I'll just go through screen by screen here. You can see that like at the beginning, because 50K over asking on this one, it started to go down because the first week is really like, people are just speculating, right? Some of them are really, really good. Some of them don't. This is by the middle of the month. So as you can see, like a little bit more better on, especially on $1 million property here. It's okay. It's, it's nice, but it's not super, super pimped out, but the outside is super, super nice. But you can start seeing like the 11th, the 12th, you can start seeing like 200 ask and things. And like, this is when interest has already went up, right? There's some opportunities like this one here on the 13th, like still went over just 100K. And you can start seeing by near the end, which is we're at the 14th right now. You can start seeing that there's a little bit more, bidding wars and stuff.
Yeah. Do you find that some of those properties are being listed, a little bit lower than they should be?
Some are, and some. So this is a really good opportunity. So if you're an agent, this is something that you definitely want to know. So if you start seeing like this is an opportunity my clients purchased. So we saw this 14 days, and this was actually an agent locator lead. We saw this for 14 days on the market. So this product usually sells over 800 for sure. Like
Mhm.
this product here sells over 800 for sure, but this is, you know, a little bit of a lull after that week, because there's
Yep.
also a lot of good products coming out too. And we were able to get 30K under list. That's
Okay.
so to answer your question, this one was taking offers anytime. So if you want to get a discount, you want to try to find anything that's taking offers anytime or irrevocable 24 or 48 hours. Sometimes you will get a discount, sometimes you won't, depending on how fast you get there. But I am finding that a lot more people are listing low right now, depending on the product. If you're over $1 million, I think some people are doing the 999, like you're seeing here, and
Yeah.
getting a little bit. But
Yeah.
if you're like over the 1.2, you're probably just, you know, you're listing out
Mhm.
a little bit higher and seeing where it is. If you like, even in this area here, you can see that for most of them, even if I go Bowmanville here, look how many 599s and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So like most of them are holding offers. This one's holding offers. They were a little bit higher and then they went lower. So I guess they didn't get the number that they wanted, right? So that's that there. 599, 599. You know, this one's holding offers as well. So a lot of them are really holding offers, especially if you're under the $1 million mark. Most of them are going to, especially 700 and under, they're holding
Mhm.
offers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is pretty good for sellers. But I mean, you know, the thing is too, is once you start seeing a lot of people hold offers, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going up 100K each of them, right?
No.
So you kind of
Yeah.
have to, like, what I do is you kind of have to be real with your clients and be like, listen, I know you like the flashy stuff, but you're not going to get the flashy stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I were you, I would look at these type of properties because they're going to be outshined by the other people, and the sellers are going to get stressed that they're not getting the number they want on offer day. That's when you negotiate,
Mhm.
right? And for agents here that are taking their clients out, you know, to 40 houses or more, like, in my personal opinion, sometimes that's the clients. But if you're doing that, you're confusing the shit out of your clients. Like, I have another client that just reached out to me on social media. They said, like, their last agent, my husband saw 40 plus houses and like he was so overwhelmed he hated it. I'm
Yeah.
like, great, I'm not going to do that with you.
Yeah. That's a little hard to see that many options and then have to pick one. It's like, yeah,
Right?
it's instead
So
of
that's where
narrowing it down, really, right?
exactly. So that's where some of the opportunities are, when
Mhm.
you kind of see that kind of stuff. Um, like I said, that lead was actually an agent locator lead. Now they're listing their house.
Yep.
So I'll have that over on next week. And the interesting thing about that one is I got that CMA through text message only.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I can show you a little bit of it. Let's see. And this is just giving you guys an idea. And I know I haven't done a lot of like live dials. However, I want to make sure that, you know, other than the live dials, because, you know, I've been doing this for what, almost 2 years now. Time flies, right? But
Mhm.
most of you guys know the scripts of how it should work, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, I think what people need help with is lead management and like dealing with, you know, trying to get a little bit more organized with their leads, and trying to find ways to message them and you know, figure it out, right?
Being creative with your approach. It's really
Yes, yes. Um, you know what? I think he texted me, not on this landline. I think he texted me on my phone because I'm not showing it here.
mm,
Oh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, and I think if anyone has done some campaigns, if you guys have some campaigns that you guys want to go over and maybe talk about what would work best for you guys, or you know how you're doing it, and I can show you a little bit of what I'm doing, I think that will definitely help you out too. So I don't know if anyone wants to come up and kind of talk about anything or any struggles that they're having, because then I can walk them through that on that one.
yeah. You guys, if anyone wants in here, you can use the Q&A. I am just going to initiate the chat. It always doesn't allow anyone to want to talk, so I'm going to turn that on. But yeah, you guys can use Q&A to ask. You can put it in the chat and ask, or if you want to come on and you find it easier to actually speak, then just raise your hand and we'll give you that ability to actually talk on here. Great. Now, have you done anything differently with any of your campaigns or anything like that? recently
Not as
to
of
pick things
yet,
up?
not as yet, but I'm going to, because
Hmm.
some changes on the team, so I need to make sure that's good. But I also want to ask you actually, is when you find someone that likes a property, right?
Hmm.
Like it's a
Hmm.
property. Is there a way that I can send out an automatic message when they like something? Can I do a clause for it to send out saying, hey, I saw that you liked whatever property?
No, no, that's something definitely that has been talked about
Okay.
as a feature to kind of enable, so to speak. So when somebody does, it just sends an automatic message of some sort to try to communicate. But at this point, no,
Okay.
it doesn't.
So
You
a
guys
great way that
do,
I would do it, sorry, I
yeah,
don't mean to interrupt you by
yep.
any means,
No, go
uh,
ahead.
is I would write an email or a text message just
Hmm.
saying like a campaign, not even a campaign, but like one of those emails or texts that you can templates that you can save.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey, I
Hmm.
saw that you like this property. I'd love to give you more information. When are you available to chat?
Yeah.
So that way, every time you see anyone, you can just click on that, and then it
Yeah.
gets out.
Yeah, exactly. You can create the template. For those of you who haven't done it yet, there is the app for the CRM system. So if you're going on to your app store, Google or your Apple, just search for agent locator, allow the push notifications, because when you get those, not only getting notifications, you have your lead alerts in the system. You can easily, if you're not at your desk, quickly jump into the system and reach out to that lead. So you can access those templated text messages, right? So you can pull up the lead, access the template text, send it off to the lead while you're at the go. That way you're actioning their behaviors within a timely manner as well, right? We're not waiting or waiting. So if you feel like, hey, this is like this, I want to send them a message right away, you can definitely do so with ease, and potentially gain the connection that way as well.
Yes, which is really good.
Yeah, but yeah, because it works. Those templates there. So if you don't have the app, you guys can access your filters on there. Any email templates, SMS templates. You can call, text, all that stuff with your leads, which allows you to track things on the go. What's really cool with the app, it is especially for people who don't use Twilio. 100%. If you do use Twilio, always be using it. It just helps you with the recording. Efficiently logs everything. Especially when you're doing desktop, it speeds up your call ratios that just by that much. With the app, it actually allows you to make a decision if you want to. So you can default your app to whenever you're calling or texting, to simply come from the CRM from your Twilio. You can also request it to ask you. So if it prompts you, do you want to make this call from the CRM or from your mobile device? You can do it that way. But if you are doing it your mobile device, let's say you don't have Twilio, which you should, you can actually make the call right from your cell phone through the app. It will also log that call. It will not have a recording, of course. It's just going to log the call there. You also have the same option for inbound emails. When you're responding to an email, are you responding through the CRM or are you responding from your day-to-day email? You're going to compose it that way. Always encourage that everything is done through the CRM. That way it's efficiently tracked. You're not having communications coming from Google. You're having communications coming from your cell phone, then some from the CRM. It's all kind of hubbed into one spot. That way, again, because, as Nick knows, a lot of these leads aren't transacting right away, right? So we don't have to go digging for information over the email or some sort of communication that may have happened outside of the platform. Just allows us to stay consistent and see everything that's been sent, received, and communicated with those leads. So yeah, download that if you guys haven't done so. And you can definitely familiarize yourself with it.
Yes, those are, once you learn the tools, it makes your job a lot more easier and also much more efficient. You know what I mean? Which is pretty good. I can have a call here that you guys can listen to. Give me one sec. At least this will showcase a live dial here. So 1 second, okay? Let me get the share sound. Okay. You guys can hear it, right?
Yes. Hello.
Hey Fatima, it's just Nick calling you. How you doing? I'm good, Nick, and you?
I'm living the dream, just like you.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
And a
How
dream, nightmare, depends.
it depends how you look at it, right? It's all about perception.
Exactly. Yeah.
How was cookies last night?
Oh, very good.
I was texting her and she was making cookies, so that's why. Sorry, guys.
Turned out very well.
Nice, nice. I'm glad. I'm glad. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super happy you had a great evening. I'm glad that you're starting to see some properties that you may like. I know that timing might not be the right time, but it could be, and
Yeah.
I understand all the stuff. So
I know, but we also are aware that the right house may be available
mhm,
sooner or later. You know what I mean? So we're keeping our mind and eyes open
yeah,
to that, property or that, one we cannot forego on or, miss.
yeah, I do
So
know.
we tend to dip into things a couple of years before, and we have been like looking at, you know, properties for probably like intensely for the past year, like
Yes,
just looking at them online. I think I've
yes.
only seen a couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's fun to do that too, right? Because
Mhm.
you get to see some really nice homes too from time to time.
Absolutely, and then many of them are beautiful.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
ones have you kind of really liked on the market?
My husband is, he wants property, he wants
Yep.
space. He doesn't
Yep.
want to look over his shoulder and see neighbors,
100%.
but he doesn't per se want to be away from or too far away from, convenience stores or a shopping mall at least, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
That you can pick up stuff. And there are some places that are beautiful that we saw online, but they are like 30 minutes away from a store, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
And I think some of the ones you're sending me are a little too far out there.
Okay, so I'll
And
bring
to
it in
give
a
you
little
a
bit.
heads up, he works in Stouffville. He works in Markham.
Okay,
So doesn't want to be too far away from work.
perfect.
Um, so like maybe an hour, hour and a half, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yep. Yep.
From there,
Yeah, from
And
Uxbridge or
we are
Markham.
looking for a property for some space.
Yep.
So, and he likes the bungalows, but I'm okay with the 2-story. I'm open
Yeah.
or whatever. You know what I mean?
It just depends on the right property, the right size of
Yeah,
lot, right
yeah,
finishing, all that
absolutely.
fun
You can
stuff.
always convert a room in the main floor to a bedroom if things, were to, like
Yeah.
we're getting older. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need
yeah.
to turn a main floor into a bedroom or something.
I agree. I'm not. I still want that for my house, and I still have a lot. Sometimes I feel like a long way to go. So I having a primary bedroom in the main floor is so nice.
So sorry, I'm just gonna pause. So basically, like all I'm doing is I'm just talking to her. Not as you can see, I haven't even talked about any sales about anything at this point. All I'm doing is just trying to relate with her and trying to get an understanding of what she's looking for. And as you can tell, her speech, she's very slower. So she doesn't, like, in my personal opinion, I wouldn't be speaking as fast as I'm speaking now. I would be speaking a little bit more slower, even though that kills me, but you got to do that. And as you can see, I was just building relationship in this call, just talking about, oh, that's cool, yeah, you could see that, I would like the same thing. And like, you're having a real conversation, and it's genuine.
Because you can just
Yeah,
like walk in, walk out, right? Like, I mean, I like that style too, to be honest.
yeah. Um, I don't know if Dwayne's here right now because we went out. Is Dad here, Elijah? No. Or he's at the door because I was going to say if you wanted to talk to him,
Sure.
he's at home. But I'm telling you what the scene is right now. And
Yep.
we are looking at upgrading our own current home. So we're
Yep.
also entertaining that idea
Yep.
to upgrade our home. So that's why I say moving could be in the next 6 months, year, 2 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends
Whichever you
when we
find the right
find.
property.
Yeah. And I know
I
there's a
totally
lot of
understand.
beautiful properties, and we really haven't put as much effort into seeing them physically other than
For
online,
sure. For
you
sure. For
know?
sure. Is
But
there?
but I know when we're really dead set on moving, that we're going to give it our all, and we don't play the market, we don't dip in and out and stuff like that. No, when we're ready to move, it'll be a done deal. You know what I mean? Or so.
Yep. Yep. Is there a listing or two that you guys really like now that's available on the market that you may want to
I
see,
think
or?
I think Dwayne has a paper that he's put some houses that he's really interested in. If you want, I can email it to you,
Yeah, please.
or I can scan it to you, or text it to you,
Text
or get
whatever.
him to. Okay.
Whatever's the easiest way to do it.
And you can have some idea of what he really, really likes. But most of the ones with a lot of, or wide, or I call those wide lots, like you've said,
Yeah.
some that are 60 by 130,
Yeah.
or, like 100 by 300. Those are two. It doesn't have to be an acre, 2 acres, 5 acres, or stuff like that. It could
It
just
has
have
to be
a look.
wide enough.
Yeah, or a private
Together.
type of,
Yes. Yes. I understand.
So if you want, I can send that paper and you can have some ideas. But
Sure.
it's just going to give you a general idea of what we've seen online that we like, but we have not physically seen it.
Yeah, no, totally understand. What I could do then is once you do have the paper, Dwayne or you, I'm going to text you my direct number because this is my office number. So
Okay.
so I'll text you my direct number, so you'll get that shortly. And if you want to send me the properties that you guys
Sure,
are
I can
interested in,
scan it and text it to you. No, remember. Yeah,
yeah, or
absolutely.
take a photo and update it. You don't have to scan. I think
Yeah.
it's easier just whichever way you feel is comfortable for you.
Sure, which is quickest. Yeah, that's quicker.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'll update you on the properties to see if they are still available. If they sold, I'll let you know how much. If they are still available, I'll let you know. And then if you're open to viewing them, I'd be happy to do that too. No pressure, obviously.
Absolutely,
but whatever
sounds
you want
good.
to do.
And if you have other properties among your own kind that you think are,
Yeah.
somewhat close to it, we could definitely look at it.
Yeah, I'm gonna change your setting now because I think, like you were saying, I have you out a little bit more further than you would like to be.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just shorten that range a little bit to help you out to get to that hour and a half max from Uxbridge and Markham, and then we go from there if that's okay with you.
Sounds good, and I will execute that so you have a more, concise direction on where we're going. And if you have properties that match that criteria,
For
then
sure.
absolutely we're willing to look at just about anything.
Cool.
And make it
Awesome.
a day of seeing as many as we can. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you. That's the best way of doing it.
Okay, I'll let
Cool.
you go, Nick.
Sounds good. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. I'll text you just now. Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
So yeah, so that's basically kind of like
Mhm.
a quick call. It was less than 10 minutes. So it was just more so building relationship. I have some other calls on there where I got her address and then I put her on Nosy Neighbor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's really kind of what you're doing, right? Like you're just kind of understanding who people are. And, the best way that I was saying it is, picture that you're at a store. When you come into the store, you don't want someone to bother you right away. You just want someone to just acknowledge, great. And that's, if you guys use your campaigns, then that's what that is there for you. But what is really good about it is, as they're looking and as you are facilitating them and learning more about them, they're going to start opening up and then trusting you as long as you know your numbers, what's happening in the area. Even if you're not doing a lot of deals, as long as you know your information, people will think you do a lot of deals, right?
Mhm.
So that's why it's really, really important to learn market stats and to see how much things are selling. So you can say, oh, well, prices went up 15 grand from last year or last month. All that showcases that you're a professional. And I think the problem is a lot of real estate agents, like it's easy to get your license nowadays. And I feel that, obviously there should be a little bit more education when it comes to that end, rather than just getting your license and then selling, because you're dealing with a lot of real people's problems, right? And like if something happens, then guess what? You're going to be on the hook or you're going to be blamed. And like, you don't want to put anyone in a situation, right? So that's kind of what it is, right?
No, for sure. I know. And it's interesting though too, because being new in real estate, I believe in BC they require you're not allowed to just jump in and sell. You go through like a probationary period, where you have to be working. Any offer that's submitted, anything, you can't just submit it. Somebody has to actually kind of be your mentor. I can't remember what the term is, if it's 6 months or how 3 months, 6 months, to prevent major mishaps. from it happen to
Yes.
protect the consumer really at the end of the day, right? And it also gives the people new to the industry, you know, that reassurance that there's someone that they can talk to get information or
Right.
feel confident in what they're doing. But
I
yeah,
totally agree.
you would think more
I
of
would
them
totally
should do that.
Yeah.
More things
Well,
should do that, right?
when I first started, I actually joined a team, right? I went solo for a little bit, but I think, you know, when you're doing things solo and you're new, you don't really know what is happening. I remember when I did my first deal, when my clients were like, "So did we get the house?" I'm like, "I guess so." Like, right?
I don't
So
know.
it was
Yeah,
hilarious, but
yeah,
you know, now it's just kind of where we are today, right? So I think
yeah.
that those are great opportunities to just focus on relationship, right? Um,
Mhm.
that's why people are on here. And remember, people buy through people. They don't like, and that's the thing. We don't have products that we're selling. Like, we're not like, oh, hey, here's, you know, everything that we have. But, you know, like a store or anything, you're more of like, okay, well, it's more of intangible things that you're selling until you find the right property, and then it's tangible,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's what I would do. But as you can tell, all my scripts, it's just more so just thanking them for coming through, and building that relationship.
Yeah. Nope.
Does anyone have any questions on like maybe some problems that they have, maybe some questions on follow up or other scenarios? You know, remember I'm here for you guys, and I just want to make sure you guys are good.
And often enough, if you guys have some sort of question, a scenario, an objection, anything like that, there's often more than just yourself that are struggling with that or have come across that aren't too sure, or just want reassurance of what they're doing is in the right direction, kind of what the ultimate goal is.
Yeah,
Because it's sometimes it's tricky, right? And we have to like weed through it. We have to figure a way, just like anything. It's figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and we're all different, right? So what worked for Nick might not work for me, right? Because it could be just the way that he delivers that information is different than how I deliver the information. That can make a huge difference, and it also really depends on who you're talking to as well. So like as Nick said, he's speaking to this lady where she's a little bit more, you know, slower paced, right? She takes her time talking. That's when yes, you need to step back and kind of okay, if I'm blabbering my mouth to somebody that's a little bit more slower, you know, and how they communicate, there may be, you know, it may be moving too quickly for that person, just because they're just a little bit more calm and step back. They might see Nick as being too hyper for them if he's
right.
talking too fast, right? So it's interesting how different ways that we approach different leads, you know, adjust, and it's really listening to them and kind of catering to that person specifically.
Exactly. And I think that's what we have to remember, right? Like people don't really know who we are until we talk to them. And I think a great skill to have is like myself, I can talk to anyone and build a rapport right away, right?
Mhm.
If you can't, that is totally cool, but I would try building on that skill. And how you build on that skill is literally not asking questions or telling them about anything. You're just asking questions to learn more about that person. And as you
Mhm.
ask more questions, they're going to feel like a conversation, right? Back and forth. And when you have a good
Mhm.
conversation with someone, you build trust,
Yeah.
right? And
Mhm.
then once there's trust, you figure out exactly where and how you can help them. And then at that point, you're just servicing them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like you said, when you have that rapport. So even when you talked about the cookies, right? That was a note or a mental note at that point. If you just like kind of were texting your last night, but in any other case, if you're talking to somebody or leaving notes in the system, you know, that's something that, you know, you leave that little side note in there because it makes the conversation that much more personalized. It's not
Exactly.
just transactional and this and then always business. Again, these are emotional purchases with individuals where we have to build those relationships, and really gain those connections. Not just about the numbers, it's about, you know, them and their
Exactly.
home and how they're going to live their life with your assistance. So we want to kind of cater to that a little bit,
Exactly.
in how we're communicating with them.
I totally agree with you. I think that's the best way of doing it, right?
Mhm.
And you know, building a relationship goes a far way because once you do such awesome service, you know, guess what? You're gonna start getting referrals because you're gonna start doing the right things, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
Right. It just takes one person, and you know, and some people refer so many people, and like in any business, any industry, right? There's always those people that are constantly looking out for the people that they've worked with or value their services or business or whatever it is. There's those people that definitely just keep referring. And again, you never really know who you are, what that influence the person you're speaking with currently has on others as well, right?
Yes.
So we don't really know, much about much, but again, like they could have a huge influence, and just having a transaction relationship with one person could mean multitude of, opportunity from that.
Exactly. And like I was saying from one of my past stories where I had an agent locator lead, I went to do a CMA, they loved me, they didn't end up choosing me, they choose someone else. And I was doing showings on like New Year's Eve and all that stuff. I was on the way downtown and I had to turn back because they wanted to see a house. So they really loved it. I was calling them the next day to see if they want to write an offer. They kind of ghosted me, and then I saw their house online, which is obviously annoying. At that point, when they reached out to me, I could have said "f you" and all this crazy stuff, but I didn't, and I took it like a champ, right? And what happened was they like the real estate agent after they didn't, appreciate that person. And then what happened was they sent me 5 deals in the same year.
Wow.
So that's
Yeah.
the thing. You just got to like learn. If you lose, that's totally cool. It sucks. No one wants to lose. But if you're just like, if you're being a sore loser, you're never going to win. But if you just like take it on the chin, be like, you know what, totally understand. That's what I was trying to help you on. So you didn't really have that experience, but it's all good. I'm here for you now. You know what I mean? Like that's all you really need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And some people need to, try for themselves, right? They need to like the teenagers. I'm just going to do it this way. Even though mom and dad said that's not a good idea.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, maybe you were right. Maybe you're right. Speak from experience and understanding. And yeah. So.
Right.
And you're lucky sometimes that people would come back, because some people might have their tail between their legs and just like, I'm going to avoid because he was right and I should have listened to him. Right.
So. I totally agree with you. So like that's really what it is, right? But like I said, like I can talk about everything that I do, but I already know that I'm doing it. But I know that we have a smaller group here today, but I would love to help you on any challenges that you are facing, or how to build rapport right away, or if you're getting some scenarios where you're always stuck and you can't move forward in, like that's why I'm here for you. So don't be shy. I don't bite. Crystal doesn't bite either. So send something in the chat, or if you want to come up as a panelist, please do.
Now, Nick, while we wait to see if anyone does reply, so a lot of these people have been on before. When we're opening up conversations, when you're reaching out to leads, just to kind of give those perhaps haven't been on before, let's say a new lead comes in today. How long after that lead comes in are you generally reaching out just to introduce himself and initiate a conversation?
24, 48 hours.
24 to 48 hours.
I kind of want them to forget who it is, just because like I feel that if you log in and 5 minutes later you get a call, my personal opinion, I think that's just too rushed. I feel like people will have their backup. However, it does work. But for me, my sales style, I like to give it a little bit of time.
Perfect. And then what is that generally like? Often we've heard a lot of it, right? Where a lot of us have heard you actually reaching out to leads and what that sounds like. What are some of the main points that you're making sure when you're initiating an initial conversation with the lead? What are the few things that you want to make sure that are kind of on that checklist of things that you want to say to that person during that conversation should, it allow to happen?
So what I'm looking for is, number one, I'm looking to build relationship. Before anything, I'm looking to build relationship. Number two, before I call them, I'm looking at where they're looking so I know how to script them appropriately. Because as we know, Agent Locator is awesome, and it can show you if they viewed the property, what cities, amounts, bathrooms, price range, everything. And that's a great tool to have in your pocket, because you know a little bit more of that person and what they want. And if you give people what they want, they're going to open up, right? So my job is to just have a conversation with them, let them know who I am, build some relationships, get their guard down. And then from there, I'm just asking questions of what they're looking for. right? And most
Mhm.
people are going to say, I'm not ready to move. Hey, listen, I totally understand. Usually it takes 3 to 18 months to make a move. You don't really just wake up the next day and say, hey, I want to move. Like there's so
Yeah.
many moving parts that are with it that in order to make it as seamless as possible and to make sure that there's no issues, we have to have a playbook, right?
Mhm.
And this is how it works.
Yeah.
But from there also too, in that conversation, if I have them and it's a good conversation, I'm finding out if they need to buy or just sell and buy. If they
Mhm.
just need to buy, I'm just fixing up their criteria and emailing them appropriately to the way that they want to be emailed. What that means is, hey, so would you want this daily, weekly, or monthly? How do you feel about it, right? Because
Mhm.
you can set that. That will be great. And then the other thing is that once I find out that they need to sell, I'm not pushing the CMA right away, but I'm pushing the nosy neighbor to put them on there to give them that information, build that trust. And then maybe the next
Mhm.
time I call, I'll put them on that. I mean, I'll try
Yeah.
to get a CMA.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's really what it is. And then letting them know that like I'm here for them. And if you have
Mhm.
any questions, like this is where I am. I'm
Mhm.
your rep.
Yeah. And like I've heard your calls, often showing gratitude towards them. So thanking them for coming onto your website,
Yeah.
thanking them for registering on there. And you can even put that in your email. So if you guys are creating drifts, and this is something that Tara Bayless does, is there's always gratitude in each one of her communications. Right. So she's emailing, I just want to thank you so very much for like coming. It means a lot that you're willing to do that, and it's just kind of more of a softer approach. Um, some people are receptive to it. Obviously, not everyone is going to be receptive, I should say. But I feel like it's more, it's more personalized, especially when you are reaching out to them. You're not just getting to the nitty gritty right away. We're taking a moment to, thank this person for coming on the website. You acknowledge that I know that you're probably not looking to move right away. You're more in the information gathering stage. But we're just really here to help facilitate that move and that search, regardless of when that move is going to happen. It could be, again, like you said, 3 months from now. It could be 3 years from now.
Exactly.
Before that person decides to actually move forward with
Yeah.
any kind of
But funny story that you say that. I actually have one lead that was 3 years ago and that we're
Yeah.
putting in offers now. So the good thing about like agent locator is that you're building your pipeline, right? Some people could be 6 months out, some people could be right away, some people could be a year or two. What's really cool and what's really interesting is, the more people you talk to and the more, relationships that you build, they might not be ready yet, but they might be ready 3 years from now. And guess what? That's already a deal ready for you by that year. And the more clients you do and you treat them well, guess what? They're going to keep using you every couple of years if they need to make a move. So then what's really great about that is that your database can naturally get you 15 deals. And then now you're working on other ones to get you another 10. And now look, you already did 25 deals.
Yeah.
Dude, you're doing the dream. As a real estate agent, um, um, you really just want to try to build your database really big so that, when the years come, you already have deals that are naturally people like love you and want to work with you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And does anyone on here have a unique method that they're utilizing that they seem to, grasp the attention of your leads or finding a better response rate? Is there certain, key components of information or resources or tools that you're offering to these people to gain a little bit of trust that you find is effective, that allows for those future conversations to actually happen, or they're more likely to answer your calls? Or be responsive to emails or text messages or what have you? Is there anything that any of you guys are doing out there that, maybe a little bit different, or maybe even just thinking outside the box rather than, being a standard as many of us can be? We kind of get into our little groove, what's comfortable. We all do it every day in life. It's what's comfortable. So sometimes we have to step outside to see different results. So if raise a hand or fill in the chat or the Q&A if there's something that you may be doing differently that you're finding is gaining you a better response rate or interaction level with your leads in general.
Yeah. So you guys are on here thinking that you guys are the best?
Yeah.
You guys know?
No, I think everyone's just everyone's quiet today. Quiet day. It's Wednesday.
Are you guys not
We're
trying to
halfway
lead
through
gen
there.
today or what? You guys got to lead. You guys got to learn from this call and then start making your calls right after and start building relationships.
or just get hyped, make at least 10 calls or
Exactly.
aim for 10 conversations.
Yeah.
And a conversation could just be them answering the phone and not being able to talk, but aim for 10 of them.
Exactly.
You slowly get through your list. And then if you're organized, like thousands of leads, I think I know I did it on another webinar, where if you're organized in your system, you guys are jumping in daily, you will see success. Okay. And you're naturally going to gain confidence in just communicating with individuals, that's for sure. Because practice makes perfect.
Yes.
But if you're actually organized, if you're organized in your system, the amount of work that you have to do on a daily basis is quite minimal, because you're categorizing people in different kind of buckets, as I put it, that allows you to, spread these leads out. Right? If there's no systems in place, and let's say you call me today and I tell you, you know what, maybe next spring or summer I might be moving, and you don't categorize me properly in the system, or leave notes or log your call properly, you may be following up with me a lot more often than you actually should be based on what I told you. So you're spending time that's not necessary. So keeping organized in your system, I have one of our agent locator clients here who has, from start to finish, always uses filters, clears out his buckets, and put them every single day. Over 1,000 leads, and I guarantee he spends maybe 30 minutes at most a day actually making those calls, because everyone's been categorized. There's only so much he has to do any given day that it just becomes quite, very manageable.
Exactly.
Right? It's when your systems are manageable, then you're going to see success, around. And a lot of the time, it is the follow-ups and it is that constant communication attempts that you start to see those results. But when we're unorganized, we feel scattered. We make calls that aren't necessary. It seems very overwhelming. There's a lot to do. Where everyone's not answering. We're finding fault in a system, when sometimes we have to put a mirror on the screen and say, oh, what, maybe something I'm doing needs to shift a little bit.
Exactly.
It's always easy, and I'm sure we've all done it, where we're blaming this, that, whatever it is, because something's not working, whether it's this or not. But sometimes we have to look and say, okay, what could I be doing differently to make this work? Right? So it's a puzzle, putting together the puzzle pieces. Sometimes we got to turn the pieces in order to make them fit. So
exactly. And that's the hard part. It's just getting the momentum to get these all organized. And especially if you have more than 2,000 leads and you haven't done, too much. I know it can be overwhelming, but work on 20, just go on your list, just do 20 or 50 people and just, just try to organize them, reach out to them. If they don't answer, but at least try to organize them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's process of elimination and categorize them for future follow-ups. Really, right? And good notes in your system, because then you pick up those conversations, right where you last left off, even if it was 2 years ago that you originally spoke to them. There's, if you have those notes in there, it makes those leads feel like they actually matter, that they're, important to you, because you have those and you're able to bring up past communications that actually occurred.
Exactly.
They're not just a number to you, basically.
No.
They don't get that feeling, I should say, that they're just that extra number.
Your leads shouldn't get that, because if they do, then
no,
probably not going to work with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it doesn't seem like we have a very chatty group today.
No.
It's all good though. Well, we can definitely jump off here if no one wants to, provide any other input into this discussion topic. Is there anything that you want to leave us with, Nick, before we jump off here?
I just think mindset. If you're not ready to call, go on YouTube, find a motivational video, 60 seconds, listen to it. If that doesn't get you, watch another one, and watch all those motivational videos for 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. After that, go make your calls, because you should be jacked up. That's just what I do. No one loves to make their calls. Let's be honest. Okay. But you start enjoying it once you're consistent.
Yes, absolutely.
And the longer that you take the days off in between those calls, the less you want to make those calls again. The
motivation just kind of drops again. And you're going to have days where no one answers. You're going to have those days that no one answers. You can have the days where so many people answer. But sometimes, it's take everything as blessing in disguises. Someday no one answers, but hey, you just got your calls done. really quickly. Maybe it gives you time to make more calls. Clear out some of those filters. So don't ever look at, one day or, maybe one person hangs up on you and you take it personally. Don't take it personally. We don't know why someone hung up. For all you know, the phone disconnected. For all you know, you caught them in a really bad situation or time that they don't have the time to talk to you.
Yeah.
So don't let, one person, its interaction affect, have a blanket over all your leads. And still calling those people back. Like, you just have to put your shield up and know, because we're all not always pleasant to people that call us that we don't have any reason to, other than being a decent human being, let's put it that way. So we've all had our moments where we weren't maybe the friendliest with somebody, like a telemarketer, things like that, right? So these people don't know who we are. They don't know that we're here just to help them. We're not here to sell them on anything, but they all have their guards up, right? So they don't want to. That's what they're anticipating. So sometimes their behaviors in responses and what have you is a reflection of that. But once they maybe have a conversation with you and learn that that's not your goal here, they're a little more willing to actually communicate with you, and they're not so apprehensive about that, and you're going to get less hangups, obviously, with that. Now, we do have a question from Gabrielle, who's saying he's curious on the thoughts of the best times to call weekdays and weekends. So, what's your response to that?
So I think evenings are great. And I also think that this is the thing. There's no perfect time to call. Okay.
No.
Perfect time to call is now. But if you want to get a little further, what I would do is I would switch your times up. I would first be consistent at making your calls when you say you're going to call. If you find that, you've done 3 weeks of the same time and you're not getting, a good result, then what you need to do is change up the time. I think that the evenings later in the week are decent. Weekends is hit and miss, because there's going to be some people that are up and out and doing things all day. And there's some that might be home, right? I usually like to try to get my calls done in the morning so I can move forward with, all the other stuff. Because as you know, as a real estate agent, there's so many, things that you do. And whenever you're not available, that's when everyone wants you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I would say, to answer that question, I would say that anytime, because whoever you're calling might just be off, and that's the right time to call them, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone is working, 9 to 5 jobs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
People are doing shift work. You might
Yeah.
be calling people just after their night shift, or you might be
Mhm.
calling people during the time that they're sleeping. Like, it's just really hard to know. But what I
Mhm.
can tell you is that if you just keep saying that you're going to call at a certain time, then just keep doing that, and you are going to pick up things. If you want to change times after that, then I would recommend doing it if you're not finding success at that specific time.
Mhm.
But
Well, you're calling it, like, as you said, Nick, it's any time is a good time. One thing that you guys will notice in your systems is a timestamp of your lead registering. And what you're also going to notice is that those timestamps are all different days and times. Some ranging from the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, afternoon, late day, whatever, right? So this just goes to show that we all operate on different schedules. We don't have the same routines. Just because we work a job that these hours doesn't mean everyone else works those jobs. Like I said, a lot of people do shift work, rotational work. So just switching up the time of day you call. So you can even do it if you're time blocking yourself, morning, afternoon, evening, morning, afternoon, evening, morning, afternoon, evening, as you're doing it day by day, for example, because again, if you call me today or you keep calling at the same time and that doesn't align with my schedule, I may be more than willing to have a conversation with you, but you just keep calling at a time that I'm just like, I'm not available to ever take a call, right? So it's just kind of, just switch it up. Fridays, I definitely would say, if you're going to call Fridays, earlier in the day is probably your best bet, not later in the day. Mondays, or if you don't, not to say not to call Mondays, but those are generally like our starting days. They can be the busiest for some right after the weekend. But yeah, generally Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and then like Nick said, weekends are hit and miss. You can catch a bunch of people. If you are doing weekend calls, I would kind of aim later or like 10 to 1 kind of thing, because that's where you're going to find people more so that they haven't left the house yet. or they're not out and about and doing, crazy things just yet. But yeah, just switching it up.
Yeah, I think a really good strategy would be like, okay, if you call at a certain time the same person, they're not answering, then I would batch those calls that usually
Mhm.
don't answer at that to do like a Thursday or a Wednesday or a Tuesday evening to try calling them, because that means they probably just work different schedules.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. You can see again, like if you're seeing what time they're available or what time they registered at, it can be a kind of a clue as well as, well, they were available to do this during this time, as well, right? It's not always the case, right? But often, people will do these kind of activities on their free time,
Exactly.
right? But yeah, I wouldn't limit in looking at everyone's time stamping, making sure you're calling just around that time. Always just switch it up.
Yeah,
Just switch it up.
exactly.
Yeah.
I totally agree. But yeah, that's pretty much it. What would you
Perfect.
guys like to see next call? That's what I would like to know, because I want to make sure that you guys are all feeling valued, and I know that I kind of repeat a lot of the same stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
just kind of what's helping me get success, and maybe everything that I'm doing will work for you or is as authentic as you are,
Mm-hmm.
meaning like my style is. So I would just try to find other ways. But I mean, the only way to get through that fear and getting better at these calls are to keep doing them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's it.
And yeah, setting a goal, whether it's a small daily goal, right? So your daily, or even like, whether it's like daily, weekly, monthly, right? So when we're hitting those, you guys have stats, you can keep yourself accountable to it. But let's say, like, every day I want to at least speak to 5 people, actually have a conversation with 5 people. Every
Yes.
week, I want to make sure that I'm having a conversation with at least 20 people.
Yes.
So hitting that like monthly, and then you'll only start to see progress and results from setting those little goals. So if we break it down, into kind of smaller little chunks, it's a lot more attainable and achievable to hit those goals. But again, you'll just start to see the results of making those efforts, and it's not a huge task in the moment to accomplish it.
I challenge everyone just to make 20 calls, regardless if they answer or not. 20 calls a day.
Mm-hmm.
You can bang that out in either 20 minutes or 2 hours.
Yeah. It really depends on how many people answer.
And I challenge you guys to do 20 calls a day. Like, there's only 6 or 7 people on here.
Mm-hmm.
Do just call 20 people a day.
Yep.
And see how that goes. And let me know how that goes on my next call.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for everyone that showed up.
Yeah. And any topics, you guys, you can send either Nick or I, request if there's certain topics that you do want to discuss, or if you have questions, on how, like, whatever approaches that perhaps you think about after the fast, just shoot them over. We can definitely make sure that we touch base on those thoughts and what have you on our next session.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, and let's happy selling.
Sounds great. Thanks, everyone. Bye, Nick.
Bye.